If you want to guarantee a group of people will completely ignore your advice, try standing on a pedestal and giving them a moral lecture. Human beings have a built-in reflex to tune out direct instructions on how to behave. But the second someone begins to tell a narrative story, that defensive wall drops. We lean in, we lower our guard. Ancient Indian scholars understood this psychological loophole perfectly. They used it to teach a concept called Niti. It translates roughly to the wise conduct of life. Not rigid moral rules, but a practical guide for navigating the world with empathy and shrewdness. Niti requires a constant, delicate balance. You have to maintain physical security, build prosperity, and foster genuine friendships all at the exact same time. Handing an unwilling audience a textbook on these competing priorities is a recipe for failure.
For thousands of years, Indian culture has utilized storytelling as a specific delivery technology, engineered to wrap high-stakes ethical lessons inside entertaining packages. Around 2,000 years ago, scholar Vishnu Sharma faced a difficult task, educating 3 ignorant princes. His solution was the Panchatantra. He structured his lessons using a frame story. Characters inside the main narrative regularly pause to tell other stories, creating a dense, nested puzzle of fables. Instead of using human politicians, Sharma assigned specific traits to wildlife. A deer represents an innocent, tranquil personality, while a crocodile symbolizes dangerous intent, hidden just beneath a welcoming surface. He created universally recognizable avatars for complex political realities. These avatars play out serious consequences. In one famous fable, a woman hastily kills her loyal pet mongoose because she sees blood on its mouth, mistakenly believing it attacked her baby, only to discover the mongoose had actually saved her child from a venomous snake. The lesson on gathering facts before acting lands with a heavy emotional punch. This storytelling mechanism worked so well that the text migrated across the globe. By the time the 17th century French writer Jean de La Fontaine published his famous Fables, he explicitly credited the Indian sages for inspiring his work. By substituting animals for people, the story removes the human ego. It allows powerful, stubborn individuals to learn hard truths about themselves without ever feeling personally attacked. By the 20th century, the delivery mechanism shifted. Writers like Munshi Premchand moved the focus away from royal courts and talking animals, dropping the narrative directly into the harsh physical reality of impoverished citizens. In his short story Idgah, we follow Hamid, a 4-year-old orphan. It is the morning of the Eid festival, and while other children have plenty to spend, Hamid has exactly 3 pennies to his name. His friends immediately blow their pocket money on fleeting pleasures, riding the carnival rides, eating sweets, and buying fragile clay toys. Hamid, visibly famished and poorly dressed, watches them. He resists the peer pressure. Instead of buying candy, Hamid walks to a hardware shop and spends his entire fortune on a pair of iron tongs. He remembers how his elderly grandmother painfully burns her fingers every time she cooks rotis over the open fire. This story bypasses intellectual logic entirely. It weaponizes raw empathy, putting readers inside the mind of a vulnerable child to demonstrate the highest form of niti, sacrificing instant gratification for the long-term care of the people you love. In the modern digital era, the setting has shifted again. On platforms like YouTube, popular animated stories lean heavily on 1990s village nostalgia, dropping characters into atmospheric, torrential monsoons where the village trains run late and the green fields turn to thick mud. These videos quickly introduce a severe natural crisis. The river breaches its banks, floodwaters tear through the asphalt roads, and the grandmother's home is entirely cut off from the outside world. The narrative then focuses completely on the community's response. The villagers don't panic. They organize to rescue a stranded calf, distribute warm food from a shared supply, and sit out the storm with collective patience. Nostalgia operates here as a psychological trick. It captures the attention of a fast-paced, chronically distracted internet audience, getting them to willingly slow down and absorb traditional values. Depicting the village as a site of organized rescue and shared resources turns these stories into practical models for resilience, teaching an isolated modern audience how to manage a crisis through collective action. The delivery medium evolved drastically, from ancient Sanskrit on palm leaves to ink in 1930s magazines to glowing pixels on modern platforms. But the audience's underlying psychology hasn't changed. We remain hardwired to resist lectures and surrender to a good plot. Across all those centuries and changing formats, the core objective remains identical. The goal is to build a society that is a little more resilient, a little more empathetic, and highly practical. The most enduring method to shape human behavior isn't to issue a mandate or publish a list of rules. It is simply to gather an audience, lower their defenses, and say, "Listen to this story."